Well, Washington is looking to station some of its heavy weaponry and other military equipment in Eastern Europe. It's part of NATO's plan to develop a rapid deployment force to counter any perceived aggression in this region. And the planned move is designed to reassure allies and states close to Russia. CCTV's Daniel Renchez is joining us live from our newsroom with more on this development. Daniel.
Susan, if the US follows through with proposals to store heavy weapons in the NATO member states, this will be the first time it's happened in a region that was once heavily influenced by the former Soviet Union. These military exercises, led by the US, involving NATO allies around the Baltic Sea, are held annually. But given the heightened concern among NATO members, unnerved by Russia's presence in Ukraine, the drills are taking on additional significance.
We have already increased our military presence in the eastern part of our alliance. We have increased air policing. We have increased naval presence in the Baltic Sea. And we have also, on a rotational basis, exercises more military presence also on the ground.
In an interview with an Italian newspaper, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that, quote, only an insane person could imagine a Russian attack on NATO, and that some countries were simply playing on people's fears of Russia. Putin was excluded from the G7, which last year was the G8 because of its intervention in Ukraine. US President Barack Obama says the US is considering even further sanctions on Moscow. NATO claims Russia is assisting rebel fighters in Ukraine.
It's clear that Russia has made an effort to wage a kind of train and equip program that will leave the separatists also with much more sophisticated command and control.
It's a claim Russia denies. While no final decision's been made, both Poland and Lithuania confirmed they were in talks with the US about permanently stationing heavy weaponry, including battle tanks. But there are reportedly no plans for permanent US forces to accompany the equipment. So the plans would have to be approved by the US Defense Department and ultimately by the President himself. But that's expected to happen before a NATO Defense Secretary's meeting later this month. Back to you, Susan.
Daniel, tell us more about the risk of the strategy, and do you think the U.S. is aware?
Well, fundamentally speaking, if there were to be theoretically any kind of conventional war between Russia and any of its neighbors, clearly Russia would have the upper hand in terms of the sheer volume of forces and tanks and other heavy weaponry that they would be able to focus on this. But as Vladimir Putin himself has pointed out, I think the stakes are too high for all sides to even consider that. But I think what the president here is probably strategizing is that there is a need to somehow lay down a line in the sand. And you have to note that there are no forces accompanying these heavy weapons. There are no conventional forces that will be permanently there. So I think this is an effort really to try to balance out the concerns and the need not to overly heat up the situation in any of Russia's borders.
Daniel Renchez, thank you for that.